Good evening, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Good evening and welcome. I am Sandy Best Life Jones, and this is Girl Talk Sunday. I'm so delighted to be here tonight. Thank you all for all of you who have been messaging me and texting me about this show. I didn't expect the response to be as overwhelming as it's been, but apparently my guest is very well known and people want to hear her story. So I'm really excited to have her here with me tonight. Before we get into the show, though, I do want to just thank those of you who have been reaching out to me, checking on my daughter, Latay. She had her baby on Wednesday, my little grandson, and he's early, but he's here and he is doing great. Oh my gosh. I've never seen the hand of God so up close as I've seen with my grandson. His name is Daniel, Daniel the third, and he's doing great. And so thank you to those of you that prayed for them and shared your messages of concern and love and compassion. Everybody's great. And we are just awaiting, counting down the weeks that baby boy can come home so we can all love on him. So thank you for your prayers. All right, tonight, um, good evening. Yes, come on into the chat so I can see that you're here. Tonight's show is something that I myself have experienced. And I always say that betrayal can teach you lessons that you didn't even know you needed, you know, but it's up to you. You know, you have to decide. Do you want to use that season in your life to be bitter? Or do you want to extract the lessons from that season in your life to become better? And my guest tonight has decided she wants to be better. So she's going to share her story with us. She's going to talk about a season in her life where she had to do some growing up and she had to tell herself the truth. And like Iyanla Van Zant said, she had to call a thing, and she's better off for it now. I do want to say up front that this is not the bash the ex episode of Girl Talk Sunday. That ain't what we do over here. We're not doing that. We are here to empower, inspire, and encourage women to give birth to the plan and the purpose for their lives through honoring God, honoring their body, and owning their worth, period. We don't bash nobody over here. But my guest is going to talk about her relationship from her own experience of that relationship. And I think that we're all going to walk away with a little bit more wisdom if we choose to. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. And I just want you all in the chat to give her some claps, give her some snaps, give her some hearts, because she's here to share a story that I think you need to hear. As a matter of fact, I know you need to hear. And here she comes. There she is, my guest tonight, Diamond Letrese Dozier.
Yeah.
Hello, my dear.
Hey, hello. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for agreeing to come to the Girl Talk sofa, to
Mm-hmm.
Girl Talk Sunday sofa, to share your story with us tonight. I think your pre-interview was probably one of the most intriguing pre-interviews that I've done in the 2 or 3 years that I've been hosting Girl Talk Sunday. And the reason why I say that is because you, even in the pre-interview, you came full circle with your story. You talked about, you know, pre-relationship, you talked about the season of the relationship, and then you talked about post-relationship and how you've recovered and how you know that you're better and how you know that you're healed and all the lessons that you learned while you were in that season of your life. And so we came full circle in the pre-interview, and then we didn't even get to everything. There were some parts that I wanted to leave for tonight's show, because I want to hear it with my audience, who, by the way, is my audience is those are my co-hosts. So I want my co-hosts to hear it while I hear it. But before we get started, I want to go on Facebook. This is something I forget to do all the time, to share the live, because it never fails. Somebody is going to text me and say, I can't find the live. So I'm going to share it right now so people can see it, so they don't have any reason to text me and say they can't see it. So here we go. I'm sharing. It's not letting me share it. Oh my goodness. We'll do it this way.
I see you live.
Okay, good. All right. So
I'm gonna share it.
Awesome. If you see it, you're watching, please share the live so everybody can see it. I posted my YouTube channel information on my page as well. Share that too, just so we make sure that nobody misses out on tonight's show, because I really, really think that this conversation tonight is an important conversation. It's not just an important conversation for women, but this platform is for and about women. So that's why it's geared towards women. We are not anti-man. We are just pro-woman. So that's that. All right, Letrese, I'm so glad to have you here. I'm going to ask you a question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Okay.
All right.
I'm 42. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. 42. I'm originally from Columbia, South Carolina. I grew up in Tacoma, Washington, where I'm at now. I'm a mother I have 3 boys. My twins will be 20 next Sunday.
My oldest, 20 next Sunday?
Yes.
Aww.
My oldest is 23. I work for the city. I work for Tacoma Public Utilities. Mm-hmm. It's been about 3 years. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I believe I'm also a certified peer mentor. So I do like to mentor our youth and people who's dealing with trauma, drug addiction, or et cetera, like that. I believe in financial education is the key to building a better life. Stuff that we, especially as Afro-American women and male, we wasn't taught. So I do believe in educating our, people about that. And another thing, I just believe in just being kind to everyone, because I've dealt with a lot of trauma, and I don't know why I feel like I'm finna cry.
You know what? That's what we do. We get over here on the Girl Talk Sunday sofa and we cry.
All right.
It's all right.
I ain't trying to cry. I thought it was good. Eyes already teary-eyed.
It's okay. It's okay. You know what? I believe that you have something in your heart that my viewers need to hear.
Oh, yeah.
They need to see that emotion on you. Because that's how you know it got down in here. And this platform is faith-based, but all that come in peace are welcome. But I believe that this is ministry work right here. And God is in the thick of all of this with us. So I want you to just share your heart with us. Okay?
Got it.
All right. So we're going to go back to 10 years ago now, 13 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Right. We talked about in the pre-interview how you were coming out of a relationship that was a little topsy-turvy. And you had just decided to walk away, and you were free finally, and you just wanted to move on with your life. And then you met somebody. Okay. But before we talk about that, I want to go back a little bit further.
Okay.
Because I believe that, and I say this on the show all the time, I believe that our childhood sets the stage for how we show up as adults.
Yep.
And any trauma that we experience in childhood that goes unhealed and unaddressed manifests itself in our adult lives. And you had a little bit of that as a child. So let's talk a little bit about your childhood and how you grew up, and more specifically, your relationship with your parents and how that shaped who you became as an adult. So let's start there.
Okay.
So tell me about growing up. What was it like?
I left South Carolina when I was about 5 years old. It's crazy because I remember like it was yesterday. Like I remember being always with my dad. My mom was out and about. I don't know what transpired to this day, why we end up leaving South Carolina. We left South Carolina. I remember we got on it was called Trailways back in the day, the Greyhound bus. We was in a bad bus accident where, I'm gonna tell you, like I remember it like it was yesterday, where we got hit by a truck because the bus driver was flying. I guess she left her wallet. Something happened, but people died. It was about 13 people died on that bus.
On the bus with you?
Yes.
And your family?
I was about 5 years old. Like I remember it like it was yesterday. It's so crazy because my mom always say, "How do you remember that?" I was like, "Cause I don't know." I was just like, I remember my brother flying under the seat. He hit his head. I'm getting off the bus with my mom, and I happen to look over and I see the bus driver. Her body is outside, like she died. Like I just see all this blood and stuff. And so I always remember that vision, like, oh my gosh. And I think that's the reason why I'm so scared to drive on the freeway when it comes to semi trucks. Like I got bad anxiety from that. My mom was probably
about 5 years old.
I was 5. My mom probably was about 20, 21, 22. I know she was in her early 20s. It was on her way to Colorado Springs to live with my grandmother. So I remember that. Lived in Colorado Springs for about 4 years. My mom got married to a military guy, but before that, we lived in, like I said, Colorado Springs. My mom worked. We had a babysitter. I got molested at 7 by a female babysitter. It happened probably about 2 years. It went on. And then my mom and my stepfather ended up getting stationed here to Washington, where we live. Lost contact with my father. Finally, I think my mom or my aunt, somebody got a hold of someone. And then I finally got to talk to my father again. 2013. I'm gonna back that up. It was 2012, right before Christmas time. And I think that's one reason why I don't really care for Christmas, is because I talked to my father right around Christmas, and he was saying how he was going to come see us, me and my brother out here. And it didn't happen. I don't really like to get into detail about what transpired because I forgave whatever happened a long time ago. But I just know there's some things that was said between my mom and my father's girlfriend at the time, between each other. And it put a damper in me because I always felt like, well, dang, you're the reason why I didn't get to see my dad. So I kind of resented her for that for a very long time. But my father was killed when I was 13, 1994, by the Columbia police. They beat him. He was on his way to the hospital because he was sick. So I do have some type of trauma from that, because it's like every time a Black man get killed or pulled over, it bothers me.
All right, let's stop right there. First of all, because I want you to catch your breath, because that's a lot. I heard 3 or 4 different traumatic incidents that happened in your life when you were very, very young. First, the split up of your parents' relationship. That, you know, when we're little kids, our mothers don't tell us, well, this is what we about to do. Then that didn't happen back then. You just did whatever mama said to do. We got to leave, so we leaving. So that abrupt separation of you from your dad was traumatic.
Yeah.
Then you're on the bus on your way to Colorado to live with your grandmother, and you get in a horrible accident, and people on the bus were killed, including the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And you're 5 years old, seeing
Yep.
all of this trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Then you were under the assumption that your dad, because you were a daddy's girl,
Mm-hmm.
you were very close to your dad. Your dad promised he was coming to see you.
Yeah.
You anticipated that meeting with him, that meetup, that being reunited with him, because you lost track of each other for about 6 years, right?
Yep.
And then your mom and your dad have words.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing you know, you're finding out that your dad was killed at the hands of the police.
Mm-hmm.
More trauma. Then your mother and your stepfather divorce.
Uh-huh.
More trauma. And it's all going unhealed, and it's all going unaddressed. And so as a child, oh, and we forgot about the molestation that started at 7, went on for 2 years, a female babysitter, more trauma. So there's layers and layers and layers and layers of trauma from your childhood that you carried with you into your adult life.
Yep.
And I believe, because it did the same thing with me, but I believe that that trauma is informed the decisions that you made as a teenager and then as an adult woman. Would you
Yep.
say? Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
So your dad gets killed. Your reunion with him never happened. And it wasn't like he just decided not to come. He wasn't able to come.
Correct.
And you had to just accept that because there was nothing that you could do about it
Correct.
as a 13-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, daddy's gone forever.
Yeah.
Did your family, did your mother, did anybody proactively take the steps to console you and your brother when that happened?
No, not at all. I don't think they knew how to.
Mm-hmm.
I do know my mom, and our relationship is way better than what it was when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed she started drinking a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
real bad, and I noticed that she started talking to me more crazy. When I say that, just disrespecting me, calling me all types of stuff out of my,
Right.
stuff I wouldn't call my own kids, but
Mm-hmm.
but I realized it's like that was her way of coping with stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and but I know it affected me and my siblings
Mm-hmm.
very heavily. So
Yeah.
it's just a lot.
I would venture to guess that your mom has some unhealed trauma too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I was open up to her about my traumas, it opened up more traumas that I didn't know she was dealing with, which, it goes back to when she was a kid.
Yeah. And I it's just the God's honest truth that feelings buried alive never die.
Nope.
It's still there. You may not talk about it.
Yeah.
You may try to keep yourself from thinking about it, but it's still there.
Yep.
And so your mom's unhealed trauma informed the decisions that she made about you and your siblings. And then your unhealed trauma, and we're going to get to this, informed the decisions that you made about relationships and about the way you raised your own children.
Correct.
All right. So let's fast forward to, I think you said it was 2010.
Yeah.
You're fresh out of a relationship. You meet a new guy. Tell us about that.
I think it was interesting. I must say, it was like the first couple weeks was nice. I realize now that when I reflect on the beginning, there was some flags that I ignored. And I know the healed part of me wouldn't have even gave this person the time of day.
Right.
We had went out and some things transpired outside of a club because he was flirting with someone inside the club and brought me out of character where I Um, I lost it
Mhm.
and bashed his windshield with my,
Hmm.
I don't know, but I like literally hit my hand on his windshield because I was that angry. How could someone disrespect me like that in public?
Mhm.
And I did his windshield.
Mm.
Um, Later on that night or that morning, he came back to my house and bust out the back of my window of my car.
Mhm. Mhm.
So there was signs there, but I ignored it. You know, we paid for
What did
each
you
other
What
to
did
get
you
our
think that was? What did you think that the feelings that you were having? Because this is 4 months after you ended another relationship.
correct.
You met someone new. The two of you
Um,
decided to start talking. You started hanging out together. You liked each other. You said it was good at the beginning. And then you went out together. But what were you feeling about him? What was your initial feeling about him? Who did you think he was?
I thought he was this caring gentleman, someone that really just had their stuff put together.
Mhm.
Um, because he's a little couple years older than me.
Mhm.
And I just thought that this person really had it put together. But
Mhm.
as time went on, I realized he also had traumas as well that
Mhm.
he didn't deal with.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. So
So you said in the beginning there was some red flags that you ignored. What
yeah.
was one of those red flags?
Um, the incident at the club, that was the
Mhm.
first thing. Like right then and there, I should have just left. I
Mhm.
should not get no more chances.
Mhm.
I should have left it alone.
Mhm.
Um, that was the first red flag.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I always ask myself, why did I even forgive him?
Mhm. Mhm. Well,
Like
why did
that.
you? Let's answer that question now. Why do you think you forgave him?
Uh, I think because I was insecure about myself. Truth
Mhm.
be told, I think because I had insecurities about me,
Mhm.
thinking that I was I'm not gonna lie, I was very insecure about my looks,
Mhm.
about me, about just dating people in general. Like, if somebody was interested in me, like, and I really feel like they was interested, I really looked at it like, oh wow, this person's really interested in me. Like, because I
Mhm.
really had issues with how I looked. Like, I
Right.
didn't because of what happened to me as a kid. I battled with my looks for a very long time. So I like that was it. Like with someone that really I felt like really was into me, like
Mhm.
I was like,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
all right, I forgive you.
I remember you saying in the pre-interview that you went through a tomboy phase where you always wanted to keep yourself covered up.
Correct.
Do you think that was a result of the molestation that you went through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to wear glasses, bandanas. Um, I used to wear baggy clothes because I didn't want nobody to see my physique.
Mhm.
So I covered everything up.
Mhm.
So I know my mom had went through. She was like, I'm not raising no bulltiger. You're
Mhm.
not a boy. I'm going to show you how to dress."
Mhm.
She introduced me to makeup. So
Mhm.
that's why I think I love makeup now because it's like a fashion to me.
Mhm.
But it was more than just that. It's like even when I started dressing like a female, I liked the attention, but I didn't like the attention because I was getting attention from older men at the
Mm.
same time,
Mhm.
and it was like, what's going on? Like, I'm 16 years old and I got guys who are like 20 years old trying to talk to me at the same time. But I realized then my mom she was like, you're gonna stay your fast ass in the house.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
was just like, well, dang, you showed me how to dress. So how do you want me to dress? Like I was confused. So it was just like, then I went through that. Like, how should I dress?
Right.
Because show me how to dress. And then I was dressing like a boy. And then it was just, I was so confused. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know. So I was very insecure about myself.
Mhm.
So very.
Did you, at the time that you were being molested, did you tell your mother? Did you tell anybody?
No, I didn't tell mom until I was about 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I kept asking her about the babysitter because I really wanted to know. I'm gonna back up a bit.
Mhm.
When I was 18 years old, I
Mhm.
joined Mary Kay
Mhm.
because I wanted to be around someone positive. Because
Mhm.
I don't know what I was watching, but they always say when something happens to you, you're gonna be like your perpetrator. And I didn't want that to. I didn't want to do that to nobody. That what was happened to me. So I joined Mary Kay because I wanted to be around someone positive. So at 18 to like 25, I just went for the motivation. Like I went there all the time. Every Monday night, I was there for the motivation. And I think I was about 21, 22. My mom was like, why you keep, no, matter of fact, I was 20 because I hadn't had my kid. I hadn't had my twins yet. And my mom was like, why you keep asking me about this babysitter? Like, what is going on? And I just threw it on her. I was like, because she molested me. And the look in her face, it was like, I was relieved, but at the same time, she felt like she failed me.
So she had no idea. She had no idea that happened.
She was like, why didn't you tell me? I said, if I told you, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation because I know you would have killed her. Like, I know my mom would have did something to her. And it was like, it was hard because it's like, I know my mom's character. My mom would have did something. And it was like, and I felt at that age, it's like, I'm protecting my mom at the same time why this is happening to me. Because I know for a fact my mom would have killed her. So my mom don't play. Like
so you've got all of this unhealed hurt and pain, and yet you are having relationships and you're meeting people, and you had a relationship with your oldest son's father, had your oldest son, and then you had your twins, and you met a man 4 months after you ended a relationship. The two of you got together. You saw a couple red flags, but you were so happy that he was interested in you that you said, okay, we just gonna leave that alone. Yeah. And let's just see how things turn out. Correct. So you go throughout this relationship with this new man, and talk about what happened a year later, because you guys kind of dated, but you lived in your own place. Correct. For a year, and then what happened after a year?
Yeah, I lost my housing because I wasn't truthful about some things because even though I was self-employed with Mary Kay, I didn't report all my income, so I lost my housing because of that. And his lease was going up, so I was like, well, what do you think? Should we move in? Should we get a place? So we end up just talking about it and finding a place and moving in. And so that's how we moved in August of, I don't know. It was all I know, it was in August. So we ended up moving in together and started seeing some things that I wasn't used to. I'm not used to someone. I'm like, when my kids want to eat something or go in the kitchen, I allowed it. Like, they can have whatever they want. But with him, it was like, we didn't communicate exactly how he wanted things to be. And so it was like, it was his way or no way. And so I was just like, kind of like, what? Do you not realize my mama, we fed the whole neighborhood when my mom cooked. Yeah. So it was just like, so you telling me my kids can't come in the kitchen and eat? Like, huh? Like, and then you start putting your name on stuff. So it was a culture shock for me, because it's like, I'm not territorial like that. Like when it comes to feeding, like, that's my love language. I'm gonna feed you. Like, your kid hungry, my kid hungry, we gonna feed you.
So you noticed he was clashing a little bit with, more specifically, your oldest son.
Correct. Certain things, yeah.
Kind of questioning your parenting skills and wanting things to go a different way than what you wanted, and the way you were raised, and the way you were raising your children before you met him.
Correct.
Okay. So when that started and you noticed, because it sounds like to me, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it sounds like to me that the void that your father's death left in your life, you were trying to fill that void with this new relationship, because he was older than you. And it's kind of like he was a father figure / boyfriend. Did you see it that way?
I wouldn't say father figure, more of like a, like, my gosh, what's the word? The protector.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your father is going to protect you. So I
Right.
felt like this person was going to protect me, which he did. Like when I went to grocery shopping, like he had to come with me. If I went to go out with my homegirls, he came with me. Like it was just like he was the protector. He protected me from a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, when I wanted to be alone, he was still there. It's like I realized that he was always there, even with my friends.
Mm.
I say
Was
friends.
that a red flag?
That was a red flag for me. It was because it's like you're too close. Like
Yeah.
even my best friend to this day was just like, no, that's too close. Like we need to have our
Control.
time.
There's a little control going on.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's easy to mistake control for somebody trying to protect you.
Correct.
It's like a fine line between being controlling and being protective, because
Correct.
even the protector gives you your space to have your own life and your own friends and your own hobbies and your own things that you like to do, and they're not intimidated by that,
Correct.
because even though they want to protect you and they want to provide for you. And so his sounds like was coming across more as control,
Correct.
someone that wanted to be the protector and the provider. So a year into the two of you moving in together, what was happening in the relationship?
It was a roller coaster. We had our differences about things. It'd be like 1 minute we're good, next minute we're not good.
Mm-hmm.
It was deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I realized that I let a lot of frustration out by punching holes in the wall because I got that angry.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of me putting my hands, I was just like, I'm gonna hit this wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was my release by hitting the walls. So
was there anything inside of you, Letrese, saying to you, this relationship might be a little bit too toxic for me?
yeah, it was. But I think with me, it's like when I think about it now, I think it was just me I was just accepting it. I was accepting it. I was just, because now it's just like, dang, why did I deal with this for a long time? Like, dang, because when I think about it now, it's just like, well, people, I get a lot of judgment now from people who judges me about certain things. It's just like, well, you dealt with it. But I think a lot of times when I watch my mom grow up and I realized that how I grew up in when she left when my stepfather and her left, my mom and my current, like I love them to death, but I realized it was very toxic.
Yeah, you see it now.
I see it, and it's just like I realize now. It's just like I don't want to live another 10 years in a toxic relationship like that. Like a lot of times we get comfortable, we get complacent, we don't want to leave the situation because it's like we're scared of change.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like I didn't want that. Like I didn't want to live like my mom. My mom is very beautiful, and I'd be like, dang, I don't want to be like her, and then let myself go because I done got comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I felt myself being like that. I always told my mom I love her to death, and I always say I don't want to be like her. I always, and she knows that to this day. I never smoked cigarettes. My mom used to smoke cigarettes, so I'm not gonna ever smoke cigarettes. She said, "Don't ever say ever." I said, I'm never ever gonna smoke cigarettes. So when one day I just had a visual, I was just like, I'm living like my mom.
Yeah.
I
It's an
don't want to
unconscious
be
thing.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unconscious. We do what we see.
Yeah.
We emulate our parents. I always say, as parents, we are the first example in all things to our children, whether we get it right or we get it wrong.
Correct.
They're going to emulate what we do. And I remember
Correct.
you saying in the pre-interview, I felt like my mom stayed too long
For real.
in that marriage, just like you just said, because it was comfortable. She didn't want to change. She probably didn't feel like she could do any better. And all of that falls under the umbrella of not knowing your worth
Yeah.
and not knowing the value you hold as a woman. Because when you know your worth and you know your value, you'd rather be alone than
For
be
real.
in the wrong relationship.
Correct.
But
And
that takes knowing your worth. And at most women, we don't understand, and we don't discover, and we don't own, and we don't honor our worth until later in life, when it
yeah.
doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. We can get it younger, but you probably have to get it, like you said, from a mentor or someone older that can help you figure out
Correct.
what that looks like and what that means.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I realize, like, now when I think about it, I think it's like, oh, well, it's through thick, through thin, or this and that. It's like, no, I feel like, nah, when the disrespect happens, let it go, because they're going to continue to disrespect you. There is some relationships, friendships, you know what I'm saying, that I generally like, yo, that's my tribe. Like, no disrespect. So now it's just like, once you disrespect me or you cross the line, it's a wrap. I'm not finna sit here and give you chance after chance, because you show me who you are. Because at the end of the day, I know for a fact that I'm a genuine person. So I believe there's genuine people out there. And I think a lot of times people get caught up because they get caught up in wanting to be, oh, part of this clique or part of that clique or part of this person. No, that's the same with relationships. And I realized that, nah, I'm not finna live like, yes, we got people who fell in love at 20 and they've been married for 60 something years. No issues. So I know that's possible, because I know people like that.
Right.
But once you let people disrespect you, they're going to continue to disrespect you.
Yeah.
And so I believe I'm not about the disrespect. No.
Yeah, people do what we allow. People do it. Don't let nobody tell you different.
Correct.
People do what we allow. And part of owning and honoring your worth is understanding the importance of boundaries. Understanding the importance of having your personal code of conduct, your do's, your don'ts, your deal breakers, all of that.
For real.
All of that comes with knowing, owning, and honoring your worth. And until you get to that point in your life, you're going to think that you are the savior of the whole world.
Correct.
But baby, let me tell you, you cannot love red flags off of nobody.
Nope.
A flag is a flag is a flag. And sometimes it ain't just red, it's on fire.
Yep.
And we still ignore it because we think we can't do any better. We think we don't deserve better. We think we can't have better. And we think we are responsible for fixing people.
That part.
And we talked about this in your pre-interview. You talked about being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
You talked about being an overgiver. All of that comes from unhealed, unaddressed childhood trauma and abandonment issues.
Yep.
And your father leaving so abruptly because he was killed left an abandonment wound in your life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't addressed. And so you went about your relationships looking for somebody to heal that for you.
Yeah.
Not knowing that the only person that could heal it is God, and you allowing God to heal it. So I want to ask you, Letrese, what was your spiritual life like while you were in this relationship with this particular man?
That's a tough question. I say that because I know there's a God. I don't go to church. I do pray. I'm spiritual in my own way. I stopped going to church when I was younger because I didn't like how certain things were said, and it made me feel uncomfortable. And then what happened to my best friend when she went to church. So it just, to me, is like,
say more about that. What happened to your friend?
She had a pastor approach her about certain things. And so that rubbed me the wrong way. It was just like, what? I knew I didn't like church, and you know what I'm saying? In my mind, I was like, I know there's a God. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and go. I can worship in my own home. So I never forced my kids to go to church or none of that. So because my mom didn't force me. So it's just one of the things is where it's like that's a whole nother subject, like it's a whole nother topic.
Right.
Because I have an aunt who I love the most, and just looking at, you know, some of the things with my cousins and stuff that they dealt with in church, and it's just like, oh, but y'all grew up in the church and y'all ain't too wrapped tight, like, you know what I'm saying? But y'all couldn't come hang around with us, but y'all got issues too. So it's like me, I was very protective. My kids know whatever their belief is. They know that I believe certain things. I don't put my belief on anybody else. So,
have you ever?
I don't really,
I was gonna say, have you ever found yourself having to tap into what you do know about God to give you the strength and the courage to make better decisions? Yeah.
I just keep that very personal to myself. I don't really talk about it because it's like, it's very personal for me. I keep that. That's one thing I can keep sacred to myself because everybody has their own beliefs. I know there's a God, and I always tell people, there's a God. I know for a fact there is, but I keep that very sacred to myself. That's one thing I feel like that I can keep to myself.
Yeah.
And not share, because I feel like when you share, people are going to judge you about your own belief.
Okay. So let's talk about 2020. What happened? You turned 40.
Whew, Lord Jesus.
Right?
I
And
don't know what it was about 2020.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, because it was COVID, but things happened. I wasn't happy.
And this was 10 years into the relationship, right?
About 8. Yeah.
8 years.
8, 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't happy. Depressed. Working from home. It was just like a aha moment. It was this video, when I think about it, that this person always watched. And it was a reggae video, and it was like the guy was sitting on the couch, and then a female, and then whatever happened, it was like a knife involved, and I had that thought in my head, and I was just like, whew. Now, for me to have this thought in my head that I'm not happy that I can do this to this person, it's time for me to go.
So things had gotten that bad.
Yeah. It got bad. You know, things transpired. It was a lot. Like, it was a lot. And right then and there, I just realized I just needed to let it go. I didn't want to deal with that anymore. Like, I had to release myself from all that trauma and just keeping a lot of stuff in.
Yeah. So looking back though, in hindsight, because you know hindsight is crystal clear vision. Looking back in the years leading up to 2020, were you already knowing in your heart that it was time to, you had to figure out a way to let this go? Yeah.
I want to say when the proposal happened.
The proposal in 2018. Talk about that, because you did something, and we talked about this in your pre-interview. During that proposal, there was a thought in your mind that you completely ignored. Talk about that.
It was a birthday, April 14th. Like, it's coming around the corner. I had planned a birthday party, bus party. It was at friends, family, his family, my close friends, and didn't know that I was gonna get engaged to. But when it happened, I was just stuck, because just a week prior or 2 weeks, we got an argument, and I wanted to say no, but I didn't.
Wanted to say
I didn't want to let everybody else down. Like everybody came to see us, and I was just like, oh, ooh, I'm looking at everybody like, Lord Jesus Christ, can I really say yeah to this?
So this man is on one knee proposing to you, which for most women is the happiest moment of their life. One of the happiest anyway, because if you're a mother or you have children in your life, that's probably the happiest. But one of the most happiest moments in your life, and you're thinking to yourself, I need to tell this man no. And I need to run right now. But you couldn't do it because you didn't want to let everybody else down.
Correct.
But you forgot about Letrese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you say yes?
I did.
You said yes to a proposal that you didn't want.
Correct.
And you stayed in that relationship 2 more years.
Thinking that things would change. Like, oh, okay. Maybe we can work this out. Maybe. But it didn't. I felt like it got worse.
Yeah, because if he was controlling before, now that you're engaged, and by all intents and purposes, he's probably already seeing you as his wife. The control button is going to go up 10 notches because he really ain't going to want nobody else talking to you and looking at you. And he's really going to want you to submit to him and be whatever it is he thought you needed to be for him. So when he was proposing and you were saying in your mind, I don't want this. I should be saying no to this. And then you went 2 more years in the relationship. Yeah. Were you planning a way of escape during those 2 years? Were you thinking about how to get out of it?
No, I got complacent. I just let time go. Like time just kept going. Like I realized, I think about it like I bought a planner, like an engagement planner or whatever, to do the dates. And I said, September 5th, 2020 was going to be the date. I want to say I wrote in that planner once and didn't look back in it because some things transpired. He disrespected me one night with a friend that was at the house. And it was just like, dang, do I really want to be with somebody like that? I just feel like they can just disrespect me in front of people like that. And
was that the first time that it happened though?
No.
It was that it happened before.
It happened before. Yeah, it was the other stuff. And then I realized like every time it was a disrespect, he would buy me something. And I looked at it like, that's not my love language. Like to me, don't buy me nothing. Like to me, it's like I can buy whatever I want. That wasn't my love language. My love language is quality time. And I realized that we didn't have quality time. We always went out on Friday, Saturday nights to the reggae spot. That wasn't like, I think about it now, like that's not where I wanted to be. Like take me somewhere else besides always being in the limelight. Like that's not what I wanted to be at. There was times where I share like, hey, let's do something else. Like, I don't want to go out. Like, I'm tired of having people come to my house on Sunday. Like, let's do something. It was just like, no, but and it was just like, I just was like, okay, whatever. You the man of the house. I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So, and then I was like, I started drinking. But no, I knew how to hide my drinking problem. Like I had to drink. No one could tell me unless they would say she was asleep. And then they was like, oh, Treese is asleep. But at the same time, I was depressed sleep because I wasn't happy. So I had a friend who noticed it. A lot of people who was in my circle didn't know that I was depressed. I don't even think I knew I was depressed because I covered it up with drinking.
And didn't you say that's what your mom did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the drinker that lashed out. I was a drinker that was quiet.
Right.
Until someone made me mad. And then it was just like, ooh, who is that? But I would go to sleep. I would game, I look at a lot of photos. I was like, ooh, I look at that photo, I'm like, Lord, I know what I was going through. I see
Mhm.
Facebook posts pop up.
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, I went through a lot, you know. Like afterwards, I had a friend come to me after the fact, and she was like, "You look good. Like you look happier.
Mhm.
I can stay up past 10 o'clock." Because I'm telling you, I used to go to sleep in the club. I used to just be like, shh. But nobody knew what was going on
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, she's just asleep. That's just Tree. She's asleep. But nobody really checked on me like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
My best friend wasn't here. She lived in a whole nother state.
Mhm.
My other best friend had passed away. And so no one knew what was really going on because I didn't share.
Mhm.
I tried to share with somebody and they kind of like dismissed me. So it was just like, well, dang, I thought you was my friend.
Mhm.
That hurt me to the core because it was just like, yeah, but I listened to your problem, but you didn't want to listen to me.
Right.
That hurt me. Like when I realized when I look at you as a friend, my friendship matters to me. Like I don't want no one to feel any type of way. And
Mhm.
I realized everyone's not like that.
Mhm.
Like,
So, did the man that you were in the relationship with, did he notice that you were depressed and drinking a lot?
mm, no, I
Mhm.
don't think so because he was drinking too.
Oh Lord.
So I don't know. I think it was just a thing. Like we
Mhm.
talked about it, but we didn't ever really talked about going to counseling and stuff like that until I was like, I'm done. It was just
Mhm.
like, no, I'm tired. I'm not going to counseling because of you. I'm gonna do my counseling on my own, to counsel
Mhm.
myself, to heal
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm. So you
So
ended up going to counseling.
mhm, end
Yeah.
up getting me. I got me a life coach, a
Mhm.
therapy coach.
Mhm.
You know, I got some stuff, people that's for me that I know I needed. Mhm.
So what was the deciding factor that made you finally say, I'm done?
um, like I said, it was just like one day I just woke up.
Mhm.
Like this is not what I want. I just wanted to live my truth. I just wanted to be free. I just wanted to just be me.
Mhm.
And I just got tired of just shielding myself from people and just being quiet
Mhm.
about certain things. This is like, a lot of people used to always be like, oh, I share too much on Facebook about certain things.
Mhm.
Like I didn't care. Even when we was in a relationship, I would still share certain things on social media,
Mhm.
but I shared it because I felt like it would help someone else.
Mhm.
But I think I just woke up one day, I was just like, I'm just done. I'm tired.
Mhm.
Like it was just like aha moment. Like
Yeah.
I can't do this. It was like on my birthday, August 5th, on a Wednesday.
Mhm.
A friend hit me up about, hey, you want to go out and have a drink on your birthday? And it was just like, you know what, why not?
Mhm.
And open up to this person and just it was done. Like I just was
Yeah.
I was just done.
And some things had transpired along the way. I remember we talked about some issues happened between your oldest son
Mhm.
and this man that you were dating, and I think that particular situation is really what started to wake you up.
Mhm. Yeah, when I found out my oldest son he was a cutter. He was cutting himself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and just the fact that, I started thinking about how I was, and started looking at my son like, oh, I'm thinking he's just tired because he's on the PS4
Hmm.
whatever it was, PS whatever, PlayStation. I'm
Hmm.
thinking he's just tired because
Hmm.
he's up all night, but in all actuality, he was a cutter. He was battling his own things with his own self, with his
Right.
own identity as far
Right.
as the things he's battling with school and then at home, going from a household where he's free to do whatever he want. When I say do whatever, I mean like go in the kitchen, eat whatever he want. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't a strict mom. To this day,
Right.
I'm still not a strict mom. Like our communication is better now than what it was, but it was just like more or less he was just depressed, and I didn't know he was depressed because we as Black people, some Black parents don't realize that our kids is suffering depression. They
Hmm.
sleeping all day, not
Yeah.
wanting to go to school.
Right.
My son didn't have to try in school. Like he
Hmm.
was one of them kids. He was smart, didn't have to um, study for anything, would pass his class.
Hmm.
I would get calls from him, like from his teachers, like, "Hey, your son is asleep." he's not doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's passing his classes, so I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, oh, he's probably just he's on his game.
Too much.
But it was a lot that he saw
right
in the household that he didn't like. And I didn't realize that affected him in a different way, especially raising men. Like, dang, how can this man that my mom loved is treating her like this?
Right.
You know, like one time my ex threw my clothes out. Like literally took my clothes out and threw them out. My son came downstairs, was mad, like, why would you do that to my mom? Like, you invited us. It was just like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I think that sometimes when we have children and we go into relationships with men that are not their father, we forget that what affects us adversely affects our children adversely too. And sometimes it takes the situation adversely affecting our children to wake us up. For some reason, it's not enough for it to affect us in a negative way. But when it starts to affect our children, that's when we wake up. And I think that we need to get to the point where when what's happening in our relationships is negatively impacting us, we have to be the first partakers of the fruit.
Correct.
We can't pour into our children if our cup is empty.
Correct.
And so if we're depleted, we can't nourish them. And then as young men, you want to protect your mom. You want to keep her out of harm's way, but you're a little kid, so you really can't.
Yeah.
And when you can't, that's when you start feeling defenseless and helpless. And that's where the depression and the cutting and all of that came into play. And it was a cry for help. And I'm glad you finally saw it. How is he doing now?
He's doing good. He's doing better. He works at a mental health institution down in Tacoma. He lives on his own. He's doing good. I still check on him. I still have trouble, meaning I'd be like, hey, how are you? I'm checking on you. And then it's like 2 days. Oh, Mom, I'm good. Because I always know he's not a cell phone person. So he doesn't be on his cell phone like that.
Yeah.
But he's doing good. He's doing better.
Tell me about your twins. Because I know you said they're about to turn 20. What are they like?
Oh my gosh, they're like night and day when it comes to my oldest son. It's like I always have this joke. I was like, damn, my oldest son feel like he was just my my experiment child, like, you know. But it sucks because it's like I found a photo of my oldest son the other day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like he's my baby, and it's just like, where did I go wrong at? And it's just like. But with my twins, it was like they're night and day. Like one of the twins got a full ride scholarship to UW University, majoring in political science.
All right,
double majoring.
Wow.
I have the other twin is going to PLU, and he's majoring in business management and track and field. So, and it's just like they're night and day. Yeah. So I talk to them daily. They're checking on me. They'll pop up on me. They making sure, you know, there's been times where they be ready to pull up.
Well, they grown now.
Yeah, they be like, look, Mom, so what are you gonna do?
Right. Like try it if you want to. Try it if you want to. Don't let the sweet taste fool you about my mama.
Yeah, they don't play.
Yeah.
They don't play about me. No.
So what would they say if someone was to ask them, you know, what do you love about your mom? What do you think they would say?
Oh, I know they would say she's giving. She's going to give whatever she can.
Yeah.
She'll listen to you. She's going to feed you. And that she's just like, she's going to love you regardless. Like yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't think we should have to guess. I think we should be able to ask them.
What?
What's up, Mom?
Oh my God, Laquan,
you listen. I reached out to Laquan. This is one of the twins, everybody. I reached out to Laquan like a week ago.
Oh my goodness.
And I had to explain who I was. And I'm thinking in my mind, he's probably like, who is this lady talking about? She
It's
my
so
mama
Monique.
friend. And she was like, she got this podcast and she want me to, who is this lady? But he was so polite. He was such a gentleman. He was so sweet. And I said, I need you and your brothers, if at all possible. I need you and your brothers next Sunday. I want you guys, I want to do a surprise for your mom
Mhm.
because I want to honor the courage that it took for you, Letrese, to come on and talk about your story. And I don't know a better way to honor a mother than to have their own child
Yeah.
testify about their own mama. So, Laquan, I want to ask you, what is it that you love the most about your mom?
I think everything that she said before is definitely just great highlights of it. But I think my most like favorite thing about her is that she's fair. She's never said anything that didn't make sense to me. Most parents argue with their kids because they're giving they're giving guidance that doesn't make sense with them. But
Mm-hmm,
everything my mom has ever said has always made sense.
mm-hmm,
I may have some disagreement to it, but it always makes sense, and I can see her perspective from it. It's
mm-hmm.
never just because I said so, even though she may say that. But
Right,
there's always reasoning behind everything she says.
right. And what's the best advice you've ever gotten from your mom?
Um, family knows best, I think, is something she says quite often.
Mm-hmm,
Um, family is kind of aware to things that we as people tend to be blind to. So if someone may see something that you're not seeing,
mm-hmm,
just pulling in on your family just tends to kind of have it just allows you to be open to other perspectives that you may not yourself be aware to.
mm-hmm. Okay.
Hmm.
So, your mom was talking about, the relationship that she was in, that she ended up leaving, and you and your brothers were right there with her. How has she, how would you say she's grown from that experience, and how is she better now than she was before?
She's definitely happier. Like I see her doing things she wasn't necessarily allowed to do or she didn't feel like she could do on her own.
Mm-hmm,
So just being able to see her travel and just have a good time and just be able to just explore herself has just been something that I admire, and it's something I want to make sure I can do
mm-hmm.
in my own life for sure.
Did you understand at the time, even though you were young, did you understand at the time that this relationship dynamic is not good for my mom?
I always knew that it wasn't good for my mom.
Mm-hmm,
I don't necessarily know when it triggered on, because there was also a lot that I wasn't aware to. But just
mm-hmm.
at the times where I did see things, it's just like other families don't have these issues. Why is my family having this issue? Or
Right.
is it like I've noticed like throughout high school, I was working a lot and I was going constantly picking up shifts at work. And
Mm-hmm,
I just didn't know myself, like, why am I always working all the time when I could be at home hanging out with my family and
mm-hmm,
stuff like that? And it realized it to me is something I realized kind of later on. It's just like I didn't feel safe coming home because I didn't always want to like listen to someone argue.
mm-hmm,
Um, Although there was like never anything physical, just the verbal aspect of everything just made me not want to be home, and it just made me realize that like the relationship my mom isn't good.
mm-hmm,
And even when she decided to just end things,
mm-hmm,
I when I still don't understand why, but I was kind of upset with her for
mm-hmm,
choosing to end things because I didn't see everything in the
mm-hmm,
relationship.
mm-hmm,
And to me, it made it seem like it was just one person being stubborn about things and not willing to do the work. But there was a lot of things I was blind to, and I didn't
right.
necessarily see until later on. And just kind of thinking back to my mom wasn't always the first person to come talk to me. The
Mm-hmm,
other person always made sure they came and talked to us about a situation, not necessarily going into details. So it
mm-hmm,
always made it seem like, oh, he's doing what he needs to do because he's the one coming to us and talking to us about it. But it
mm-hmm,
was like my mom never felt comfortable enough to do that. And that isn't at fault to her. It's just because it's a battle that she's figuring out on herself.
mm-hmm,
But it kind of put things into perspective for me because it truly shows who is at fault or not, or just who's just pulling the strings.
mm-hmm,
Because like my mom not coming to me directly, that could just be her processing things. And if
mm-hmm.
that was true for both parties, then both parties would probably keep it to themselves rather than trying to be the first one to say something. And typically the person who races to tell their story isn't the first person you should listen to. And that's something I kind of learned a
Right.
little bit after everything.
So having a little bit more of the backstory helped you understand why the relationship had to end.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So what have you learned, Laquan, about what it takes to have a healthy relationship after watching
Just
your mom and her relationship?
honestly, just active communication, and just not settling for less.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you can't communicate, then you can't get anything done, and that's just pretty much it. It doesn't matter how much you love somebody. If you can't talk to them, then you can't work past anything.
Good. Well, you know what? A lesson is a lesson. As long as you get it. Sometimes you got to go through adversity to get it. But as long as you get it, so you don't have to keep repeating it over and over and over, that is the most important thing. So Laquan, tell me, what are you doing now that you're 20, you're out of school? What's going on for you next?
I'm on spring break right now. I actually go back to school tomorrow. My birthday is next week on Sunday. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just trying to get through school. So I'm in UW Seattle.
UW Seattle. Okay. Nice. And what are you majoring in?
Political science.
Oh, okay. All right. A brainiac like your mama. Well, thank you for agreeing to help me surprise your mom. I know your brothers weren't able to be here, but I'm glad that you were able to come. And I wanted to do something special for her. And I know that there are no 3 people on this planet that she loves more than her 3 boys. I know that for a fact. So I was like, okay, we're going to tie that together. And we're going to surprise her with at least one of the people that she loves most in the world. Now, I see somebody named Monique in the green room. Do you know who that is?
My best friend, Monique Foy.
Is that who that is, Quan?
I think so. I don't see her last name, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
She calls me Quan, so it's probably her.
She's not connected, so hold on. Let me see if I can send her the link to the live so she can come in.
Oh, shoot.
Hold on. She's waiting patiently. All right, Monique, I'm sending you this link. We're going to bring her into the live too. Quan, do you have to leave?
No, I'm still free.
Okay. All right. Well, Letrese, I resonated so deeply with your story. I see a lot of myself in you because I used to be a people pleaser too. I was an overgiver for a lot of years of my life. I just felt like if I just keep giving and giving and doing and bending over backwards, and not just in my relationship, but in friendships and relationships with family members, I was always the one that wanted to be, I was the peacemaker. I wanted everybody to be happy. And I took the onus upon myself to be the one to make everybody happy. And I had to learn that you making other people happy while you're miserable is not the way to go.
It's not.
So I had to learn for myself that I have to think of me first. I cannot give you or anybody else what I don't have. So all of that love has to start in me. And it took me allowing God to reveal myself to me. He held up the mirror for me to myself so I could really see what was going on inside of me. Instead of pointing fingers and looking at everybody else, I had to look at me and how I was contributing to my own suffering because I was not paying attention to the red flags. I was ignoring my intuition and I was letting things slide a lot. And I feel like, Letrese, you were kind of in that same mode too, where you knew things weren't right, but you just felt like, okay, I'm just going to do my best to try to make it work. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work. But that's not, the healthy love is not an exercise in trying to make stuff work. It either works or it don't. Would you say that now that you're on the other side looking in?
I agree.
Yeah. It's not back-breaking slave work to be in a relationship. That's not a healthy, normal, balanced relationship. When you got to do all that and the two of you are bringing the worst out in each other. It wasn't just him bringing out the worst in you and you bringing out the worst in him. You both brought out the worst in each other.
Correct.
And it was just a recipe for disaster. And I'm so thankful that you finally found the courage to say, you know what? I deserve better than this. I'm worth more than this. I can do better than this, even if I have to do it by myself.
Correct.
My sons need to see me. Advocate for myself so they know what that looks like. And sometimes our children have to be the inspiration for the change that we seek in our lives, even if we can't inspire ourselves. There's something about our kids that will inspire us to reach higher and want to do something better.
Correct.
And so I'm just so thankful that you got all the lessons that you needed and you applied them. It's one thing to get them, but if there's no application, they don't mean a whole lot. But you decided you wanted to be better and not just sit and be bitter. And I'm thankful for that. Now, I want to highlight too that you have an ebook coming up.
Correct.
Talk about that.
So I have an ebook that I'm almost done. It's talking about, let me pull it up here a bit. I know I tonight, if people want to get a preview of the ebook, they certainly can. It's about self-healing, 10 steps to self-healing. It talks about acknowledging your feelings. I have a step where you can actually write down how you're feeling about certain situations. Step 2, you're going to seek professional help, because a lot of times people don't believe in professional help.
Right.
You want to practice self-care. I believe you want to have self-care, meaning, exercising, eating right, meditation, yoga, walking, certain things that are going to just relieve your mind from the daily struggle. Connect with others that are dealing with some of the same things that you are deeling with.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
You want to practice mindfulness is another thing I talk about. Embracing forgiveness. A lot of times people don't realize how much when you actually forgive somebody, that's going to help you in the long run. A lot of people don't understand when you hold on to all that trauma, your abuser is in control. So you have to forgive whatever is going through in your life. Setting boundaries. You want to set boundaries. You want to know what you will not allow, because once you set your boundaries, you'll know what you would not put up with. Just being patient with yourself. A lot of times people feel like they got to hurry up and do certain things and not just be patient with themselves. It's not an overnight, like healing can take time. Like this, I ended this in 2020, August in 2020. So it's going on almost 3 years and I'm still healing through certain things, friendship traumas, relationship traumas, family traumas. You know what I'm saying? You just got to think about all the traumas that you deal with on a daily basis. This is like, you have to forgive yourself and move on and be patient with yourself, because if you don't, I see why people end up on SNAP is because they don't have the tools set in place.
And I'm glad you said that, because you lost some friends when you ended that relationship, didn't you?
Yeah. It hurt real bad. I realize now, like, if I'm in the same room with them, it won't bother me. But yeah, I lost some friends because I take my friendship very personal. But I realized that when it comes to friendship, people gonna cling to whoever they want to cling to at the end of the day. So I look at it like their loss, deuces. At the end of the day, I can only be me. But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Like someone who's sabotage. Like when I tell you my ex sabotage, went and told somebody something and he told me to my face, oh, I told this person because I knew they was going to go back and tell some stuff. And to this day, it's just like, this person don't realize what they did was wrong. Well, I don't know why she don't like me. Oh, because he told you something. You went and told somebody, but you don't know who you told. And it was lies. But
they weren't. They just weren't meant to be in your life forever.
That's how I look at it.
Lessons. Yeah, they were lessons. Release them with love. Wish them well. They taught you something that you can carry into your future. That's how you have to look at those kinds of relationships. They just weren't meant to be forever. Some things come to teach you a lesson, and that is it.
Yeah.
and then you
One
let that
lesson,
thing go.
yeah, one lesson I can honestly say that I got out of all of this was when it comes to your home is a sacred place. You don't want to allow all these different energies come into your home where you lay your head.
Right.
You know, and I realized I had a lot of different energies coming into my home, and which it stayed and it affected things inside my home. And I realized, like, your home is sacred. You don't want to have everybody in your home. Everybody should not know where you stay. Nobody should, you know. And I realized that where I've learned, and I'm not doing that ever again. My home is my sacred place.
Right.
I don't want all these different people in my house.
Right. I see you nodding your head, Laquan. You agree with that? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's your sacred space. So you got to be real selective.
Yeah. Sorry, I was on mute, but that's something I definitely really, really agree with. This past couple months ago, I was having roommate issues, and I had to end the lease and find somewhere else to go. And it was just mainly because of just the perseverance I see my mom go through is just protecting her peace at home. Because I wasn't happy coming home from classes, going to work, to just roommates who weren't being, genuine people to me. So I just really took that lesson from my mom and just made sure that I protected that peace at home.
Good.
And he ain't lying. I think he was at his first house or roommates, like 3 months. He was like, no, this is not happening. I cannot do this. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I admire that. Like, like, seriously, did it right then and there, because that's a whole other year you have to be stressed about. Like,
you better learn how to read the room.
Yeah.
For your own peace, because if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive.
That part.
So you got to let that mess go and be okay with letting people go. I learned, this is the biggest thing I learned from the season that I went through a couple years ago. I'm okay with letting people go. I used to try to hold on to people. I would be holding on for dear life. I done fired so many people from my life, and I'm okay. And I did it in a nice way, but they fired. Sometimes you just got to let go and let people go on about their life, and you go on about yours, and thank them for the lessons that they taught you, and make sure that they don't have to teach you again. Yeah. I think Monique is in the green room. Let me see.
Monique.
There she is.
Oh.
Hey, bestie.
Hey, this is so nice. This is amazing. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Monique. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you popped in.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
How long have you and Letrese been friends?
Oh my gosh, Trees, how long have we been twins? I don't know. Well, the twins are what, 20?
It'll be 20 on Sunday. So it's like 25 years plus.
Wow.
Well, well, you had Trail.
Yeah, Latrell's 23.
Yeah, so it's been about that long, because when she was pregnant with Latrell, and lifelong friends, definitely, for sure. And
so you were there. You were with her while she was going through this season in her life, right?
Yeah, I've seen her go through a lot of seasons. I've seen her go through a lot of growth. I've seen her go through a lot of pain and heartache, and I've seen those processes. I'm just really, really happy to see her now, just living out what Letrese wants to do, and ensuring that Letrese is happy. So, and I'm excited to be a part of that as well, because it's like, hey, you want to meet me in Dallas this weekend? You want to meet me in Austin for this comedy show? And like, she's always down, and she's able to do that. So I'm just proud of her to be able to move, how she wants to move. She deserves it.
So how has your friendship with Letrese made you better, Monique?
Oh my God, I've always admired Tree. She's always been on her own. She's always had her own, like, regardless, even with just having Latrell at such a young age, having the twins, doing that on her own. Man, I tell till this day, I'm like, Treese, I don't know how you do it. I have 2 kids of my own. I'm just like, I don't know how you did it. And again, I admire her, and I can go to Treese for anything. I can go to Treese for everything, but she's always positive, and she's always optimistic about things. So yeah, she definitely helps me, you know, in my growth as well.
Good. I'm glad that the two of you have each other. You always got to have at least one person in your corner that not just that supports and encourages you, but will tell you the truth with love too.
Right.
At least
Right.
one is so important. You got to have one. You can't have a bunch of yes men all around you. You need somebody that's going to tell you the truth, love you still, not judge you, but tell you the truth nonetheless. Would you say that's true?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm blessed and honored to have her in my life. Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad that you could join us, Laquan. Thank you for availing yourself. I appreciate you so much, Letrese. This has been an amazing conversation. There are not a lot of people that would come on social media live and bare their souls the way you did. So I want to honor your courage. I want to celebrate you for just who you are and for not shying away from using your story to help empower and strengthen other women. I believe that there is strength in numbers and that we are better together. And it takes a level of vulnerability that not a lot of people are willing to go to share your personal story so that someone else who's either going through it or about to go through it can see what happened with you and say, you know what, I think I'm going the wrong way. I think I might need to make some different decisions. And so I want to thank you and I want to honor you today for just being willing to come on and share your story. I have a jar of the best whipped shea butter you've ever had in your life with your name on it. And when we get done, I need you to send me your address so I can mail it to you. Okay. And one of my love languages is giving gifts too. So I love giving gifts to people. Mm-hmm. I can't think of a better gift than shea butter because this is what your body needs.
Most definitely.
Nobody got no reason walking around ashy.
Yep.
So thank you again for being a guest on Girl Talk Sunday tonight. Do you want to say anything before you go?
I just want to thank you for allowing me to share my story. I do appreciate this. This is open. It has opened me up a lot because I know I keep a lot of things in. I'm getting better with my speech.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people don't know I don't like to talk a lot because I have a speech. I don't know. Sometimes I don't think a lot of stuff through. So I do have a speech impairment. So sometimes it's like I hold back from a lot of things. It's because it's like I want to make sure it makes sense, but it's like my brain is a mile away while I'm still trying to process everything I want to say.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot. It's been hard for me, but then again, it's just like I want to get better at speaking. Mm-hmm. I can write all day, but it's just like I want to speak more on camera and stuff. So I do appreciate you for allowing me on your platform. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now tell us again about the ebook. What do we need to do to get it?
Okay, so if you want to go to the ebook, I'll send a link out. I don't know if I sent you the link. Did I send you the link? Okay.
Yeah, you did.
It's on Gumroad, and I know if you guys want the ebook, you can get a sample of the ebook. It's free right now. We get like 5 pages, and I'll send the link out. The code will be Girl Talk.
Okay.
So, yeah, and so my goal is to have the ebook done in the next week. I still got my people working on some things behind the scenes on it and tweaking some things. So to make sure everything is proofread and all of that good stuff.
Okay. So if you want the ebook, Letrese is going to post the link. You can get a quick peek with promo code Girl Talk. You can take a look about 5 pages of the book, and then when it's ready to be released, I will definitely be sharing that information, and I'm sure Letrese will too on her social media. We all need to download that book. We want to support this young woman who is using her story to better the lives of other women. And that's what it's about. Your testimony is never about you.
Correct.
It's about the lives that you can help change. Because what you go through can empower other women to get through it too. So we want to support Letrese. We want to download the book when it's ready. But You can get a sneak peek now, and she's going to post the link to that, and I'll post it as well
Yeah,
on my
I'll post the link on your Facebook afterwards. So
okay, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much again, my friend.
thank you for having me.
It was good to see you, and I'm sure you'll be on again.
Yes.
I'll give you a fact. I'll bring you back when your ebook is released.
Okay.
Mhm.
Will do.
All right. You take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. That's our show. We have so many comments. I want to go back and look. Yes. You know what? I think I'm going to put the link to the ebook in the chat. Let me do that so you can have it, because she sent it to me, and I want to make sure that you have it. And then I want to go through the comments, because so many of you were on here commenting. I was so happy to see you. I didn't respond to your comments at the time, but I want to respond to them now. But let me post this link first so you know how to get the ebook. And again, the promo code is Girl Talk, and putting that promo code in will allow you a sneak peek of the ebook that will be ready very, very soon. So this is the link right here. Hold on, Control C, and I'm going to put that in the chat. There is the link to the ebook. Letrese's book. It's called Unbreakable, A Guide to Self-Healing and Personal Growth by Diamond Letrese Dozier. I absolutely want to thank all of you for being with me tonight. I appreciate you. I love seeing so many people in the comments. I'm looking at, oh my gosh, there's so many comments, and I can see that you guys were having some moments of your own while Letrese and I were talking, and you were putting your comments in the chat, and I just appreciate you so much. So many people are watching right now. Y'all just don't understand. I am so appreciative that you could be doing anything. You could just be sitting watching TV somewhere, but you decided to come and join us tonight. So I want you to know that I appreciate you. I love you for that. Thank you so much. Coming up next month on Girl Talk Sunday with Sandy, my guests are Pastor Alex Davis and First Lady Trelane Davis. They are the pastor and first lady of Eastside Assembly of Believers Church, and they have an agency that they created that serves foster children. And some of you know this, most of you don't, that I was a product of the foster care system. As a teenage runaway, I kept running away from home. I was having issues. Things were happening. I was skipping school. I kept running away, and I ended up in a receiving home for girls. And from that receiving home, I was placed in a foster home. And it was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. And so I have a place in my heart for foster children, because I am a former foster child. And I know what that's like. I know what it is to be ripped away from your family and placed in a home with strangers, people that you ain't never seen these people before, but now they have control over your life. And so I was in foster care from the age of, I think, 15. And then at 16, I had a guardian ad litem. And my guardian ad litem helped me petition the court to become emancipated. And so at 16, I was emancipated. I was considered an adult, and I didn't have to stay in foster care anymore. But before that, I was a ward of the state, meaning the state was my parent. I need you to catch that. The state was my parent, not my parents. So I understand the fear that comes along with being placed in the system as a child. And that is why I wanted to have Pastor Alex and First Lady Trelane come on and talk about the agency that they created to help serve the foster care community right here where we live. So they are going to be my guests next month on Girl Talk Sunday. And I think it's going to be a very, very important conversation, because there are children right now waiting to get into a foster home. They're in receiving homes and wherever they can put them until there's a foster home available. And so if you've ever thought about fostering a child, you really do not want to miss next month's episode of Girl Talk Sunday with Sandy. So I will see you next month on April 16th, I believe it is. Yeah, we'll be back next month. Thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you. I'm looking at these comments. You guys are still commenting. I love this. Okay, wonderful. Letrese put the link to the ebook in the comments as well. All right. Thanks, everybody. I love you all. I pray that you have the most amazing week ever. Do something good that somebody else can emulate this week. Give them something good to copy about you. That's the assignment for this week. Just do something good, something that somebody can look at and say, I want to do that too. I love you all. God bless you. I'll see you next month on Girl Talk Sunday with Sandy.